Madam Deputy Speaker, when October comes around each year, it gives us a chance to reflect on the incredible achievements and contribution of the Black community. Though, of course, celebrating the Black community should not be limited to only 1 month per year. As the CEO of the West Bromwich African Caribbean Resource Centre said to me earlier this week, they celebrate all year, from Jamaican independence and Windrush Day to music nights and fiercely competitive dominoes events. I wanted to speak in this debate to recognise the contribution of the Black community in my area of West Bromwich, Oldbury, Great Barr, Tividale and Rowley. After the war, Britain needed workers from across the empire to fill our factories, our foundries and our fledgling NHS. People from all over the world answered that call, including many from the Caribbean. They made their homes here, and the roots they put down are now very deep, and their contribution over many decades broad. The theme of this year's Black History Month is reclaiming narratives, so I want to share just a couple of stories from my area that speak to this theme. The first is about sport, and the story of West Bromwich Albion's 3 degrees. The 1960s and 70s were a hard time for many in the Black British community. Racism was rife, and the National Front was on the rise. Football was no exception, with games marred by racism and prejudice against Black players and fans. Around this time, 3 players at West Bromwich Albion were doing something exciting. The Baggies, under manager Big Ron, were the first English club to consistently field 3 Black players in their lineup. In the 1978-79 season, the talented trio of Cyril Regis, Laurie Cunningham and Brendan Batson were an essential fixture of every Baggy side. The sons of Caribbean immigrants who came to Britain in the 1960s, they were among the first Black players to play top-flight football in this country, writing their own story of struggle, success and stardom. Although this might not seem like a huge achievement today, 3 Black players in one team was unheard of at the time. And they were brilliant players in the face of the racism they endured, even sometimes from their own stands. At a time when racism in Britain was all too common, these players broke down barriers not only for Black players but for Black fans too. And this week I watched a great video by Richie Anderson, a Smethwick boy, an Albion season ticket holder and one of my favourite voices on Radio 2. Richie interviewed Black fans about how much watching those players meant to them, and their testimonies were as poignant as they were powerful. Madam Deputy Speaker, I also wanted to tell the story of a lesser-known but no less important local hero. I'm lucky to know her, and she is one of West Bromwich's strong, trailblazing women, Hyacinth Jarrett. Hyacinth had trained as a nurse in Jamaica, but didn't much enjoy it, so when she came to England, she applied for a college course in hairdressing. She was the only Black applicant to the course, and she had to persuade them to let her take the entrance test. She passed it, completed the course, and opened her business, Jarrett's Hairdressers, in Bull Street in West Bromwich in 1970. She ran that business for 40 years, and during that time, she was a pioneer in training people in the art of caring for Black hair. Over the years, her talents and expertise were widely recognised. She was invited to work with Birmingham College and London University, and she eventually developed a module on Black hair that was added to the National Foundation syllabus for hairdressing. Hyacinth was one of the earliest members of the West Bromwich African Caribbean Resource Centre that I mentioned at the start of my speech. And that is where I first met her a few years ago. The Resource Centre and other local organisations, such as the Kumba Centre, have contributed so much to the local community and continue to campaign against the discrimination and disadvantage that Black Britons still sadly face today. I'm proud to have them and so many other amazing Black-led organisations in my constituency. I look forward not only to working with them in the years ahead, but to sharing their stories, championing their achievements and helping to reclaim narratives, because they have earned and deserve their place in British history. Thank you.